Hello, my name is Taylor Watson, and this is my audience for my persuasive speech. Today I'm going to be giving a persuasive speech on why we need to save the bees. Albert Einstein once said, "If the bee disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would have only 4 years of life left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more man." So, before I get into my speech, a little bit of an introduction. The purpose of this speech is to persuade you to want to save the bees and explain why it is so important that we do. The reason I care about this is because I learned that the bees play such a huge role in our environment, and I really care about that because they're so influential on our ecosystem. They do so much with pollination and helping our crops, so it's really important that we take care and take measures to save their population. A preview before I get into the speech, I'm going to be explaining what's happening to the bees, why they're dying, and what we can do to save them, what measures we can take, and what you can do today, and also visualizing a world without them and with them. So I'm going to start my speech now. I'm going to explain that the bees are dying at an alarming rate. So according to the National Agricultural Statistics, since the 1940s, honeybee colonies have declined from 6 million to about 2.4 million. It's about a 60% reduction. And actually this year in 2017, bumblebees were just added to the endangered species list. So that's really alarming, and it's really important that we start paying attention to that. So what's causing these bees to die? There are many factors that contribute to the decline in their population, such as pesticides, drought, habitat destruction, nutrition deficit, air pollution, global warming. But a really big one is pesticides. It's really, really harmful to the bee population. So you might be wondering, why should I care? You know, bees are just annoying bugs, and what's it going to matter if they're gone? But you may not realize that bees perform about 80% of population worldwide. That's 1 in every 3 crops are pollinated by bees. They are pollinators of all fruits, all vegetables, all nuts, all seeds. So without these bees, these bugs pollinating these crops, they would be gone. You know, and that would make a huge devastation in our global nutrition and all that. So what can be done about this? Pesticides. Pesticides are huge. Banning them would really help out the bees. There's nicotinoids, and I've listed some of the different kinds. Those are the really big ones that are used. They're very, very harmful to bee immune systems. They're lethal, and they have systemic effects, and they weaken their immune systems. They weaken the colonies. The bees who do survive are too weak, and the colonies just weaken, and they eventually die. So many other European countries have been noticing this and taking measures to try to stop this. They've put a 2-year ban. The European Commission adopted a 2-year ban from these nicotinoid pesticides, and the U.S. has not yet done that, which I think is something that we could really work on, write to Congress about, and explain that we need to do that. In fact, in 2014, President Obama signed the Monsanto Protection Act, and the Monsanto company, they use a lot of pesticides, they do a lot of genetic modification to their crops, and this act gives them immunity from the damages that they cause to people in the environment, which is really scary and, you know, something that we really should focus on, because that could be really harmful to our ecosystem and to all of us, even humans, not just the bees. So another thing that can be done to help the bees is ecological farming. Ecological farming is something that's been done for thousands of years. It's basically just, you know, farming off the land. It doesn't involve all that genetic modification, the use of all these harmful pesticides. It's farming from the land and doing it organically. It helps for better, healthier bees because they're feeding on natural crops, and that helps to increase the healthier pollination, which increases the yield of crops, and it's just better overall. So local organic farming is something that it could really be increased in our country to help save the bee population. So you might visualize your daily activities, something that you do every day that you don't really think about. You wake up, you might have a cup of coffee, get something to eat, you might have some chocolate chip cookies later on in the day, some fruits, some vegetables, eat an apple. You know, you see flowers outside, you don't really think about it, and that's the world we live in. and there's plenty of full food and all these different crops, but if you picture your world without the bees, then it might look a little different. You wouldn't have any of that. You wouldn't have your coffee because the bees pollinate the coffee plants. You wouldn't have chocolate, any fruits or vegetables, and that's a big problem. That could be a problem for sustaining our global population. That would really hurt our having a balanced nutrition, and it just would be awful. We need to really save the bees, and they're so important to our ecosystem and what they do for us. So you might be wondering, what can I do? What can you do? And it's really simple things that you can do that will make a big difference. You could plant a garden. Plant a garden that helps. Like I said earlier, they have poor nutrition. Planting a garden that offers the bees healthy foods to eat can really help them. Something as simple as putting water outside for the bees to drink in the summer. You don't really think that could help, but it really does, because they get thirsty just like any other. Don't use pesticides in your garden. I explained that they're so damaging to the bees. And buy from local organic foods. Support your local farmers. Buy your fruits and vegetables from a farmer's market. You can write to Congress and express your concerns of what they're doing. You can pay attention because you are the people and you have the power to, know what's going on going into your crops. And you can write to them about that Monsanto Act. You can donate to. There's many nonprofit organizations that are trying to save the bees as well. The one that I've noted is the Pollinator Partnership. So you can, offer some money to that type of charities. And there's so many little things that you can do, and that would really, really help the environment. And it's really important because you don't think about it, but overall this can really damage our environment if we don't implement measures to save the bees. So I hope you enjoyed the speech, and I hope that I influenced you and persuaded you to start taking measures to want to save the bees and care a little bit more about the environment and know that they are important. They're not just annoying little bugs. So thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope you enjoyed it.